Ladies and gentlemen, and that was the EU. Now it is the other institution, the other organization that also adds to stability in Europe and beyond, and to democratic development. If you look at the members, then most of the members of the EU are also members of NATO, and there are two non-European members that are also are in NATO. It's Canada and it's the US. Well, NATO was set up to defend the western part of Europe from the Soviets. And that is the origins, these are the origins of the organization. Well, the Soviet Union is gone. Well, judging by what is going on in Russia, NATO is having even additional reason to stay around. But NATO is first and foremost, I guess, most known for this. It is a political and military alliance, and the political part, you know, it's still promotion of stability. And funny as it may be, because it's after all a military alliance as well. But the political part of it is the promotion of cooperation. Well, in particular case, this is the defense and security issues, nevertheless. So if there is really cooperation needed, that probably defense and security issues must be it. Because, well, this is about how the military is to be used or not used. And that's the political part. The military part is the commitment to peaceful resolution. Hey, before we start shooting, let's talk about it. And let's talk about it some more. If we can't really, and you know, the world is the way it is, then as a last resort, we will use the military capacity. And the military capacity over the years have grown tremendously. But what NATO is probably most known for, and that's very reassuring to its members, is Article 3 of the founding treaty, the Washington Treaty. The Article 5, I said 3, it's Article 5. It is, remember, it's like the Musketeers, one for all and all for one. And here is the text of the article. It simply says this: if one of the members or more are attacked from outside, then it is automatic that all the other members, it is assumed all the other members are attacked as well. So if you go to war with one member of NATO, you will go to war with all the members of NATO. And if you think about the military capacity that NATO has, that, you know, if you even go back to Clausewitz and assume that war is rational, then it would be rather irrational to start, no? And that is the real value of NATO in Europe, the old Europe that has been turning itself into the old and new Europe. So, ladies and gentlemen, the enlargement of the EU and the expansion of NATO have done something else, and it is the additional thing that Europe has kind of given to the world. It has, the two, enlargement and the expansion, have changed geopolitics in the area, in Europe, particularly in this part of Europe, and in the world in general. What's geopolitics? This is a way of comprehending the impact of geography and economics on international relations. This is about, you know, superpower and being or not being and so on and so forth. And in this part of Europe, in Central Europe, this was a part that for many, many centuries had been particularly vulnerable in international relations. It wasn't the only part. I put here Belgium because Belgium used to be, you know, the country that all other armies were simply going through to fight war with somebody else. It was like a staging post. Well, Belgium was lucky because being in the western part of Europe, its safety and security was taken care of with the process of European integration and the establishment of NATO. Well, this part of Europe wasn't that lucky. It had to wait quite a few decades until the Soviet Union was gone. And when it was gone, then along with the intention of joining the EU, those countries also immediately made clear and known that they also want to join NATO. And having those two memberships in the EU and in NATO means that for the first time after a long time, the central part of Europe, the part we are in, is for the first time, after the long time, several centuries, it's for the first time not a staging ground for somebody else. Remember how the Second World War started? Well, it was the Germans on the one hand and the Russians on the other hand, just taking Poland because they felt like it. Eventually, the two also went to war, but nevertheless, the point is the place and the role of Poland at that time. You know, just do as you please, go when you want to do, when you want to go, and do whatever you want to do. Well, that is the benefit of the central part of Europe. But because, you know, central part, this part or that part, Europe, it is also the benefit for the whole continent. And it is additional safety device to enhance as much as possible, guarantee the stability, because remember, it's all about stability, prosperity, and democracy. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to read more about all the changes that have been happening in the old New Europe and various of its parts, then here it is. There are some books that you can consult about the history of old Europe. Certainly the war, this is the Brian Bond book, about the role of war and conflict in Europe and European history, and a book on how the European Union works, and one on the way NATO works. And last but not least, here is a little quiz. 5 questions to which you will find answers in the stock. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I hope that I'll see you, at least some of you here, and then we can talk in person. In the meantime, have a great day, and see you hopefully soon. Bye.